All right, welcome back to Don't Think, Just Charge. I'm Dave, he's Harvey, and today we're going to be going over some of the biggest winners in the Age of Fantasy Beta for 3.5. Let's get into it. So on Monday the 8th of September 2025, Tano went on his live stream and launched the Age of Fantasy Beta for version 3.5 of the Army rework. We've taken some time, we've had a look, and we're going to give you our immediate thoughts on who has really sifted out at the top and armies to watch in general, and have a bit of a chat around things that we'd like to see. A few typical disclaimers. One, we're recording this on the night of the 9th of September. It's been out for not even 24 hours. We're going to get this video out to you as soon as we can, but this could all change really quickly. Two, It will change quickly because of your feedback. Everyone is doing a brilliant job getting involved, and I'm loving seeing all the discussion in our Discord. Thank you everyone so much for getting involved in it. We can really make a positive impact here. Let's keep going. Three, click subscribe on the channel. You weren't expecting it this early in the video, were you? Gotcha. Yeah, give us the nice little bidding sound there that plays in our heads all the time every time you click subscribe. Thank you for your support. Please keep it coming. And now on to the actual meat of what we're going to get into. We really struggled in actually picking out the armies to talk about in this video because in Age of Fantasy, in general, we have a few things we'd like to see get better, but in general, this has been positive for most armies.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like Age of Fantasy was so bland before, if that's a fair criticism, that everything getting something, and because the power level in Age of Fantasy is lower, it's way harder for things to abuse it, right? So you can introduce whatever effects you want. Now, there are definitely some things that have come out ahead, but in general, I think, like we were talking about which are our losers, and we were like, there's really only 1.5 that we are losers, and they're not like such a loser that we're going to sit here and talk about them for 20 minutes each, right? Like it was, it's been interesting. Which is a good thing. It sounds like a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I mean, it's also talk about the elephant in the room, which is we know that fantasy is the less popular system between Grimdark Future and Fantasy. It is the less played one. That doesn't stop it being my favourite, and I'm going to forever tout that. I love it. But it will be less controversial in that regard. But also because the unit design previously has been less dramatic, there's less AP, less explosive weapons, a lower range of units. The kind of the spikes in it are going to be lower. It's not going to be quite so, oh my god, coordinate from HDF is going to be busted and breaks the game, right? We've not got that. And of course we've got the benefit of the Grimdark Future. Beta is a week into that now, and that's helped smooth things over.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all of these things mean that the Age of Fantasy one is going to be far less dramatic, really, than the Grimdark Future one. That being said, there are a few things we'd like to see, I think, tuned up. Yeah, I hope so too. Well, let's get into the things we think are going to be the most exciting. Now, we're going to start with our 3 winners. Derailing slightly, as we were recording, Tano just pushed a couple of updates out. Thank you, Tano.
Which means this video might come out as soon as physically possible after a patch, which is a miracle.
That's a miracle. So,
yes, the updates have just dropped now at 9 o'clock BST.
Yep.
So wherever you're on the world, make some adjustments for that. Luckily, there are some good changes in there, but there's nothing too major. So we haven't had to rewrite a whole video.
No, we haven't. I don't think,
still interesting changes.
Interesting changes. If anything, we put a bit of a caveat on one of our criticism points, which has been highlighted, but we'll come on to that. Grab a cup of tea. You'll see what we're talking about.
Come on in. It's Don't Think, Just Charge time. Get cozy. Turn the lights off. Get a cup of tea.
Turn the lights off. People are painting when they're listening to us, man. Turn the lights back on, you crazy people.
Sorry, if I've just fucked up your minute, that's my bad.
That cup of tea, don't put your brush in it. Drink.
No, don't do that
Drink
either. That was a big point of conversation today. Apparently people are putting brushes in cups of tea. Don't do that.
I have drank paint water at least once. It's happened. I'm a criminal for having...
Back to Don't Think, Just Charge. I drink paint water.
headlines coming out. Don't they just charge people drink paint water?
Yes.
Anyway, back to business as usual. I think insanity is business as usual for us. What has come out on top? We're going to pick a couple of armies that we particularly think are looking excellent in Age of Fantasy, bearing in mind that everyone is looking that little bit better, kind of. But the ones that are the big ones. Let's start with the message that Harvey sent twice in the course of an hour last night while reviewing everything that came out, which is Shiv is good.
Actually, that doesn't surprise me. Shiv is good. Shiv is good.
Shiv is good. Chivalrous Kingdoms. Chivalrous Kingdoms update are good. Let's just quickly as well. I'm not doing a call out in an aggressive way here, but I was listening to what's Good Enough Gaming, Chris at Good Enough Gaming's video, and he was saying that he was upset that Shiv Kingdoms didn't get a quality increase, and I can appreciate that. Let's remember Age of Fantasy is a quality 5-up system, and Grimdark Future is a quality 4-up system-ish. So if you're above quality 5-up in Age of Fantasy, you probably are on the higher quality side of things. Now, I have the view that Chivalrous Kingdoms are already a quality 2-up army because they have so many units that have impact, which is an extra hit on a 2-up on the charge. They were already pretty good on paper. They're fast, they have impact, and then they have things like Lance, which is now called Thrust, which gives them extra to hit and AP when charging, which is already very good. Then in Fantasy, you can get Musicians, so your fast units are faster. Then they got Veil Formation. This model gets plus 6-inch range when shooting and 3-inch range when charging. Holy crap, what a way to take something and dial it to 11.
Yeah, so obviously, like, what are Shiv Kingdoms known for? It's cavalry. Now, a lot of things in the game lost fast recently, but cavalry have kept it because horses go faster than men. And that combined with Veil Formation is really nice. So you now have units that is at 19-inch charge range with Shiv Kingdoms. Now, Shiv Kingdoms are already in a really good position for setting up big round 2 charge everything one at a time plays. But this just makes it that little bit easier. This is just like a really, really nice thing to see. It really kind of solidifies Shiv Kingdoms, because one of the things that Shiv Kingdoms struggles with is cavalry is very fragile. In a way that they makes them feel like they're more fragile than normal units. I don't know what it is, but basically cavalry charges in and dies. So this lets you kind of like set up more crossfire in a way, because units can support different units and get the counter charges they need in, which is just great. This is just a straight up buff to their mobility, and the mobility game is how Shiv Kingdoms normally win games. So yeah, a bit of a glow up. They didn't get any more offense stuff. They do have a new weapon rule, which lets them kill tough 3 things if you are that way inclined, which I think is on the Grail Knights as well as a couple of the other ones, but it's called like, Monster Hunter, yeah. So if they have tough 3 to tough 6, which is that new? I don't know if that is.
That's new as of 9 o'clock. That's new as of this video.
Get AP 3. So obviously that's not quite as good as it applying to everything. But yeah, that you can take those if you wanted to. I still think the base lances are probably good enough. You don't really need them, but
I agree that they're just excellent.
Yeah, but the other thing that Shiv's got is, the thing they've always had is a Strider aura. So this is a hypermobile army with Strider, which is good. But the other thing that they've got with the most recent update is their peasants, like their longbowmen, now
this
have
is
a
what
way
I
of
was going
growing
to come
over
on to
time.
talking about.
Yeah, so this is really nice. So previously with Shivs, you basically always play like the full cav army, right? You might run some men-at-arms as some like cheap objective takers, or maybe some peasants for that reason. But this gives a really legitimate reason to use the longbowman, because the combination of far charging cav with 30-inch longbows is really interesting, right? Or 36, I guess, with Veil Formation.
36 because of Veil Formation.
Yeah, what this means now is you can plant longbowmen at the back, and they can shoot across the whole map, and they get better over the course of the game, while your cav still do their thing in the front, right? Yeah. Whereas previously, like, peasant longbow were really underwhelming, right? You know, you've got a 5-up qual, you've got 5 attacks each, you're hitting 1, maybe 2 each time with no AP. Like, they were just like not doing enough. But now, by the time you get to round 3, they're on a 3-up already. and all of a sudden you're starting to put down some pretty decent heat with it, right? And you can give them some AP and stuff, but it just opens up an avenue of play that you just didn't have before, right? Like they were just simply not good enough to be taken because that kind of range is so expensive.
30 inches, this is a big thing, yeah.
Yeah, and if they had Qual 3, they would be way too expensive because it would scale up as well. But this like growth thing is at a discount. So it gives some interesting stuff. And it's on the other peasants as well, right? It's on the Grail Relic, which I think is interesting. And it's on the Peasant Levy, which I think is kind of cool as well. Because by the end of the game, they can be throwing some mad rocks at things.
So the Peasant Levy is what I wanted to talk about here. Because previously, if you want to have this whole medieval knight fantasy, you bring a couple of peasants and men-at-arms and whatever. Really, when you and I have been building Shiv Kingdoms lists in the past, we've just been jamming the cavalry because Val, we talk about it a lot here on the channel, is in units of 5, each model can do 1 damage per wound they have, except for one model which can do special amounts like Blast 3.
It's 2
Everyone
wounds,
having, or is it? Sorry, yes, you're right. It is 2 because of. I should have known that because of Havoc. Silly Dave, you're a Havoc player, but that as well is expensive and it's uncommon to see unless you're like orcs who get it everywhere. But the cavalry in Shiv Kingdoms get a lot of access to impact, which is a really easy way of saying you get A1 reliable when charging. Albeit, but it's a very cost-effective way of getting it when you combine it then with fast. So they were already in a position that cavalry was good. Now you can have a very well-rounded army with them because of this, your peasants getting better. And on top of that, their chaff become really good. Chaff are there to block, to burn activations, and to take objectives. Now your peasant levy are a threat because in round 3, they can be on quality 4+. And their 6-inch throw stones is a 12-inch throw stones, which it's, again, this isn't game breaking, but it's just adding that extra dial to all of these angles of attack for them. And it's really, really strong. So yeah, I'd overlooked it was on the Grail Relic, but that's
Cav
cool.
really loves. One thing Cav really loves is activations to burn, right? Because like we said, they're quite squishy, but they're very explosive. So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to burn a bunch of activations so your opponent activates most of their army. And then you go in with your Cav and you get a really, really good round where they can't get proper counter charges. And sure, they'll go first next round, but the hopes is that you've cleaned up enough of the stuff on the board in really positive trades using your amazing threat range to get that off.
Absolutely.
So it's not a massive departure from the current Shiv Kingdoms we know, but it is a really, really nice little upgrade for them. Obviously, they're paying a little bit more points for this kind of stuff, but given that impact is one of their major sources of damage, and given that lance is one of their major sources of damage as well, being able to control charging is enormous for this army. So it's just a really nice buff. And if you wanted to, you could also throw like a paladin in there if you wanted to go up to like a 2-up to hit with your melee as well. And there's still some really nice buffs that they've got kicking around. So yeah, I mean, overall, it's a good day to be a Shiv Kingdoms player, but they were never bad. But this is exactly the kind of ability that they would want, right? The only other thing that they might consider wanting is more damage on the charge instead and just relying on fast instead.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, either one would be perfect.
Yeah. It's really just a situation where there are perfect overlaying, complementary improvements to the army that have just pushed it all those points. Like, there's an interesting conversation in terms of the design space of OPR to be had here, which is this is a nightmare to balance. You are not just changing one dial in the ecosystem, you're changing, every army is having 7 things changed about it. And so having all those things shake out into a balanced game is going to be a bugger to sort out. That being said, we the players get to sit and enjoy our armies getting stirred up, and if you're a Shiv Kingdoms one, you've just watched all of those dials tick up so nicely for you. No conditionals. Those have been, we've seen in the update that the OPR are pushing out over the coming days. We're going to see a few more of those conditionals come back in, which I think is a good thing. But currently, Shiv Kingdoms, all gas. They're going to be going fast and being very impactful on the meta, I think.
Very nice, very nice. The only other thing to mention as well that's just come out in the real recent patch notes is that all artillery now have Relentless. Yeah, so Relentless has been changed to over 9 inches away, which is a really good buff, like a really good buff, like it's kind of insane kind of buff. So for things that were quality 5 before, we probably still wouldn't recommend them because they're so high risk. But it does mean that if you do hit that 6, then they really go off. So all the artillery in the game has just got a little bit better. And I think the artillery was pretty bad before. So
one of the chivalrous artillery is looking excellent. Just a one of. I want to try it.
Oh, yeah. So this is the whole thing, right? You can now play that range stuff at the back because they've all been slightly buffed. So it all feels good. But yeah, for 165 points, you just need to land, or just 1-5 will do 1 unit in most of the time. But if you land a 6, then yeah, it's good. It's the classic blast 6 problem, but yeah.
I'll take it, right? I think that this, you stick it in the middle of your deployment zone, try not to get, if you're against an enemy Shiv Kingdoms player, this one will get charged round 1, which is hilarious if you deploy on the line. Yep. But that aside, right? We've now got exploding 6s over 9 inches away, a 42-inch gun, a weapon because of veil formation,
yep.
AP2. If you 6 on this once, you are laughing all your way to the bank because that covers most of the board. This chivalrous artillery thing is good.
That right there is a tough 3 support grunt. That's what it is.
Oh, we're here, are we? We're going to talk about what is a Flamer Beast, but now we're going to go for that as a tough 3 unit of 1 support grunt.
I mean, with the way OPR, like with the way the design tends to go with AH getting a lot of favor, we might as well compare everything to AH. Like, why not, you know?
Hey, if we discuss Wood Elves, we can just have that as a crap Hive Lord, really.
Yeah. Dude, what's that Shakespeare line? Do you compare me to a Summon's Day? No, I compare you to a Flamer Beast.
I want a t-shirt with that for the next UK year. Shall I compare thee to a summer day?
just like Juliet being just like blasted with fire by a Flamer Beast on from below.
Shakespeare's turning in his grave. So the Chivalrous Kingdoms we think are looking pretty good for 3.5. Where are we going to go next? We're going to go alphabetical order?
Ogres.
Yes, we're going alphabetically then. Ogres, my lord. The ogres are looking really good in 3.5. Let's just touch on a couple of reasons why. Really, it's kind of like 2. Ogres were really decent, right? We liked ogres before. 1, they've just had a straight buff, which is this. When it shoots at enemies within 12 or when it charges, unmodified results of 6 to hit that aren't blocked deal an extra wound, which is just really nice, right? It's better, I want to say, than just unmodified 6s are an extra wound. No, sorry, it can't be better than that, but it'd be better than a hit, maybe. Actually,
this
that's
is
quite
a bit
hard
like
to
Furious.
analyze. It is a bit like Furious.
So the one thing to know about all these, you have to hit them. So
actually, Furious is the better way of doing it, right?
Yeah. So Furious will give you 1 hit. This gives you 1 wound if it's unblocked. Now, if you imagine that extra hit, if they don't block it, it is a wound.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is just bundling both your wounds into 1 roll instead of it being split across 2. So it's effectively Furious, right? And we've talked at length about Furious. We really love Furious. Obviously, Furious is really good. This version of Furious is really good with Deadly because it's an extra wound, which then is a deadly thing, but not very good with Blast, which would be the other one. But all this is a straight damage buff to ogres. And one of the things that was slightly missing from ogres to make them like the most premium tough 3 unit was an on-6 effect, right? If ogres had Furious before, we would be delighted with them. Well, now they basically do. So your ogre warriors, I mean, jump into the Discord if you want to talk about ogres, but any ogre list should include as many ogre warriors as it can do. They're such a good unit. You just whack AP4 on them. A4, AP1 on them. They now have this Devourer rule, so that gives them extra damage output. Supreme Devourer procs on 5s and 6s, so it's even nicer, and it's only 10 points. Pet goblins have not changed at all, but they are still really fucking sweet, right? Like, what a great little chaff unit to have. 70 points for a counter-attacking chaff that can just take objectives on the board. It's literally just the perfect complement. Love to see that. What they call the Devourers, their premium unit is now also got that damage buff, right? So they had Bash before, which is the 6s are an extra wound, but now they have Devourer as well. They already hit on Qual 3, they're A4, AP2. Yeah, I mean, it's just like a good day to be an Ogre player. You've got a much more aggressive play style. And on top of all that, do you want to say it?
Okay, I was going to actually say something else, but thank you for passing it to me.
It's no problem.
I think they're the only army in Fantasy to have the most cracked spell in the game, right? 2 units take 8 hits each. I want to highlight that previously the most damage a spell could deal was 12 hits. 12 hits no matter what happened. Now it's 16 to 2 units in 8 each. Ogres, I think 3 armies in Fantasy had access to 12 hits previously, Ogres being one of them. Now it's just Ogres getting this. Everything else aside, Ogres have the best spell and probably therefore the best casters in the game. This spell is insane.
The Ogres have access to our favourite little caster combo as well. So the champion here is 80 points. He can get caster for 50 points. That's 130 points. And then he has access to Hunter, which is Ambush, Melee Slayer, Strider. So they've got ambushing casters, baby. And they can also get 8 attacks on them, right? So I honestly think, I built an ogre list for someone earlier today in the UK Discord. If you're from the UK, by the way, join the Discord. It's one of the loveliest places in Discord.
It's fantastic.
But these guys, you just go ambush all 3 of them next to each other because you're taking 3 of them. You just soup up the first guy's spells, and all their spells are pretty decent. The damaging ones, they've got 3 hits, and they've got 4 hits with Ravage, which is if they roll a 6, then they take 2 wounds if it isn't blocked. So it's that one that can go way above it, what it can do. So all these spells are good. You just drop them down. You do big load of casting, kill a load of stuff. And then you still charge, right? Because you still have Devourer, 8 attacks, you still have Melee Slayer, you have Strider, all this kind of stuff, right? So all of a sudden, this is still a threat. And the guy you've just charged in threatens 8 hits again next turn, but is now expended, right? So there are 2 other casters who pumped some tokens in, but they should still have enough tokens for 8 hits themselves. And it's oh God, what do I do? I need to deal with all 3 of these casters. And that's while the rest of the Ogre army is just going moving towards you, getting ready to blow you up. So yeah, I love these guys. These very, very effective. They were very effective before when we had 8 hits, but this new 2 sets of 8 hits thing is great.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. And I'm excited to run some champion ogres, I think, if this ends up being the way it is, because I think that's just fantastic. The thing that I thought you wanted to talk about is how cute Sergeant is on a unit of Ogre Warriors, and this is a point of rounding being great. Sergeant on every other army in the game is 1 model gets +1 to hit, which means usually it's 1 to 2 attacks get +1 to hit. On Ogres, where you pay 5 points, you can have 4 attacks hitting on quality 3+ because of Sergeant on your Ogre Warriors, which is one of the many reasons why Harvey said to jam 3 of these into every army you're building.
Yeah, they're just really great. There is the caveat about tough 3 units where they're kind of awkward with their Musician Banner Sergeant thing, because Banner only applies when they've lost half their unit. So if you take Banner, it has to be the last one alive.
Do you want to just expand on that? Why does Banner only apply when you've lost half your unit as Ogres? When you've lost.
It's tough. Yeah, so the way morale works in the game is if you lose half your models, right? So not wounds. It's only wounds when it's a single model, right? So this comes up quite a lot. People are like, oh no, but I've lost 5 wounds, so should I not be taking? No, it's 2 models. You have to lose more than half your models.
Yeah.
So your Banner guy has to be your last guy alive for it to be relevant, which means that if you take Banner, the other 2 guys have to die sooner. Now, obviously, Musician's one, the one you can kill early because you've probably used the Musician bonus already. But it puts this kind of there's a bit more tension in these compared to normal units where you just take 3 and they'll be the last 3 alive until you've got 7 ablative wounds on top of them. So if you are taking Sergeant, you probably want to, or if you're taking any sort of command group bonus thing on Ogres, you want to really consider which ones you're taking, because Musician and Sergeant's quite a nice combo. And then you keep the Sergeant until the end, but don't take Musician, Sergeant, and Banner and expect to get all the value out of Sergeant. So
yeah, exactly.
Just something to be aware of.
Of course, if you are purely against melee, no casting, no shooting, then you're more likely to get your value out of Banner, but it doesn't cover everything. So Ogres are looking really sweet. And we're going to go on to our third one, which we think is within the creme de la creme of fantasy. It's the rats. What a glow up they've had. Now, we haven't actually discussed our thoughts on this. For me, really, it is in one of the special rules, but there are a couple of special rules that are really good for rats and ways you can build them as well. So the point that I really want to highlight is hazardous, which is just straight up that the model gets AP4 and the unit takes a wound on unmodified rolls of 1 to hit. So 1 in 6 of your attacks will deal a wound back to you. The trade-off for that is phenomenal. AP4 is monstrous. There is nothing, maybe something in Dwarves. There's maybe something in Dwarves and 1 unit in Eternal Wardens that this will not just bump you straight to a 6 on. That is absolutely huge when you can consider everything else you can do. On top of that, it is a level 2 spell to do it with this. That's it. A level 2 spell to do 4 hits with AP4. I want to point out that I think, is it Wood Elves?
Yeah, Wood Elves have it as a level 3 spell.
I didn't actually want this to be my Wood Elves platform, but it's becoming it. Wood Elves literally have...
I know.
Oh, no, it's been changed. It's been changed.
There's definitely an army that has it.
There is, yes. I don't know what it is right now. We'd have to find it. But there are armies that have 4 hits with AP4. Maybe it is in Dark Elves. I'm not going to spend the time digging.
No.
But that's massive, right? That is absolutely massive to see that at a level 2 spell. And that's before you consider that you can then put this elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, if you were here for our GDF winners and losers, I think we mentioned Ratmen clans. That was my special mention. And one of the things I mentioned was how good the spell list was, right? So Hazardous is a really, really good rule. And it's way more prevalent over in the AOF world than it is in the GDF world. Like all the machine gunners can get it, which is just super, super great. And Realm Defender as well is a new, you get more hits on top of it. So they're already more aggressive than they were before, and now they have AP4 on whatever they wanted on, which is just really great. If you look Overtune Gatling Gun, obviously you get 1 less attack, but it is AP4, and you get Supreme Realm Defender, which means everything you hit with, you re-roll because they're a quality 5, right?
Yeah.
So this can be a really, really nice solution to big units in the game. And it kind of like reinforces, I know like in Total War Warhammer, which obviously is an inspiration for AOF, right? There's like a real playstyle of like hordes surrounding weapon teams, and the weapon teams are super scary, but if you break the front line and kill the weapon teams, then they don't really do much, which is a playstyle they kind of had before, but quality 5 is a bit of a letdown. They were only doing AP1 and it wasn't quite doing enough. But now with the combination of Realm Defender and this, you can kind of play a bit more of that playstyle, which I think is really good. Aside from that, obviously they got the reinforcement rule, which is also really good. Just lets you put your guys back down again, once again playing into that style of, I think it's just on the militia, is it?
Is it just on the militia?
Yeah.
Is it? I thought I'd seen it somewhere else, but I'm probably wrong.
Either way,
discuss about reinforcements while I'm digging.
Yes. Oh, it's on the rat swarms. So this is a really, really good rule, right? Like just what I was saying then about how if you want to play that like layered play style of Ratman where you have like lots and lots of chaff and then you have your big guys at the back, this is really good because your chaff, when it dies, is going to come back and play the objectives later on. And you can now just 12-inch them at the board and not really care about them, knowing that they will come back onto the board. Is it the start of the next round, is it?
Yeah. 12 inches of any table edge at the beginning of the next round, which is really nice. Also, sorry, I've cut you off mid-flow. This reinforcement rule, being 12 inches of any board edge, is going to then inform your decisions as a Rats player of where you're going to place objectives. Because now, not only are you happy to put objectives on the flank because you're a go-wide army, typically, when you put an objective on the flank, if you put it, say, within 12 inches of a board edge or a little bit around it, your reinforcements can go straight onto those objectives in the next round.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
It is obviously worth noting that if they don't die in round 2, then they won't be able to contest objectives from that point onwards. Because if they die in round 3, the round they deploy, they can't contest objectives, which would be round 4. So it is worth noting it's not like you can't do anything about this, right? You can ignore them. But they're probably doing their job if you're ignoring them. And you can, deploy them quite wide so they can block off line of sights or they can block off charges and stuff and kind of force them to do it, which I think is kind of interesting. It gives these units a niche that they didn't really have before, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
I mean,
Ratman Clans are looking really good. There's also their big. I saw someone posting before about the big rat boy, their like enormous rat thing. That if you remember at UKG, someone was running 2 of them.
Yeah, Rob, I played him. Shout out to you, Rob, lovely man. These things are a pain in the ass to get through. It takes so much. So the Giant Beast, 270 points for a 4/3 Fear 2, Regeneration Tough 12, and you can give it Fearless and Resistance on top of that.
Yep.
It's got 14 attacks, 10 of them AP nothing, 4 of them AP 1, which, you know, in Age of Fantasy is fine because you're not really going to have that high defense, so it can be quite good. And then this thing getting extra attacks when you hit with 6s.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like there are some army rules in the game that are just nice, right? And anything that generates more hits is just nice. So yeah, it's definitely good for the Ratman. And also I think it's worth mentioning that I think Ratmen were good before, right?
Yeah.
They have a really, really like they're kind of like what High Elves are trying to do, where they have like really dedicated units for each role. But honestly, you could probably go watch our GDF Ratmen video and you'd get a very similar review out of this, right? Like there's a lot of overlap between the units, a lot of the same thoughts process between them. But yeah, one of the things Ratmen have always been quite good at as well is morale games, despite what you might think. So Battlemaster plus Banner gives them a 3-up morale, and they used to have morale buffs as well, which I think they still gain access to. Courageous Aura, yeah. So you can actually get big stacks of Fearless 2-up morale rats now. Which you get before, but like that's a really strong thing to have in an army. But now everything has more punch as well, so you have like really, really hard to move units through that. So if you were an undead player before and you like that kind of play style, come look at rats. I think rats are in a good place for playing that similar kind of like wide horde thing.
Yeah, rats are in a really good place. I agree. Also, this as well. Hold on, the Great Death Roller.
Death Roller.
I do like that all of these hazardous things are called overtuned. I like that. That's kind of fun.
I'm saying shocking there, sorry, because Dave just said the G word and didn't make
great.
It's the Tony Tiger Death Roller.
It is the Tony the Tiger Death Roller. Oh man.
Honestly, what are we? We're not really a YouTube channel if we don't repeat the same jokes over and over and over and over and over again. So
valid, very valid. We should be doing that. I apologize to you people at home.
Yep.
Come down and tell me that was not so great down in the comments. I really like that this thing has access to 2 flamers. Flamers plus Realm Defender is going to be really, really strong.
Yep.
This thing is great, really is. And then you could build it as a heavy impact. Important that impact and Realm Defender don't interact. So you are going to be a little bit sad there, but still a cool unit to have. Rats are looking fab.
And same artillery buff the other one's got.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I said the spell list is good, but didn't actually mention it. The spell list is so obviously we talked about the hazardous one, but Lightning Strike is also just a really, really good spell, especially in AOF, right? 4 hits, AP2 Deadly 3, right? So AP2 puts basically every single tough 3 unit in the game to 6-ups. Deadly 3 obviously insta kills them. And 4 hits means that they need to run 2 6s to be able to avoid dying to it, which is really hard to do. So this thing can just kill like big units, no problem. It's a 12-inch range. You can move 12 inches before you cast. You can threaten a lot of things on the board with their spell list, which lets you dedicate a lot of your resources to low AP, high hit stuff, because Hazardous helps you deal with all your AP stuff, because Lightning Strike deals with all the tough 3 stuff, which is basically what they have, right? They have loads of low AP stuff. Like monks look great next to the spell list, right? Because monks just come in with A2, they run in, they've got Furious, they've got Realm Defender, Supreme Realm Defender. They're just like a boatload of hits. And you put that next to a caster who can deal with all the other problems. And all of a sudden you're going like, I'm feeling pretty good about my Ratman army.
Every one of their spells is excellent. I think this is one of the best spell lists in the game again, because exactly as you say, Lightning Strike is insane. Also worth noting that all of the defensive buffs on army-wide rules don't apply to spells. So this annihilates Eternal Wardens. This doesn't care. Well, Ghost of the Undead don't have any Death 3 things. This doesn't care about the dwarves when they're trying to bring their coal, what are they called? Coal beasts?
Coal golems?
The coal golems. Doesn't care about that. So the rats are excellent against all of them. If you find anything that is high defense, you can give -1 to defense rolls twice to 2 enemy units. And you can do these AP spells. You can give +1 to hit rolls when shooting. So if you're trying to do silly shit with your weapon teams or your artillery, you're in a good spot there.
Yeah.
The level 1 spell is the best level 1 damage spell in the game with 3 hits, and then you can hand out your
4-hit
buff.
one, you know. I think I saw a 4-hit one somewhere. Yeah, but yeah, I think that obviously 3 hits is pretty much, it's up there.
Yeah. Okay. If there is a 4-hit one, then not quite the best, but still good.
Also, I highlighted Lightning Strike as being really good against tough 3 things, but it's deadly 3, right? So you cast Lightning Strike on a demon, right? Like an enormous demon. This Def 2 goes to Def 4, and you half kill it, right? Bear in mind that the champion is 25 points. I think the spellcast list is 50 points or 60 points for the spell list. 60 points. That's really spammable. 85 points, one of those. You just cap out on that stuff, right? And that deals with all the big threats in the game. You just spam lightning strikes at them all day. I think one of their titans as well gets a caster thing on it as well, like the God Rat or something like that. The God Titan is that? Yeah, that's got a caster in it as well. Yeah, if you're playing like bigger point scales, then obviously caster 4 is even better, right? So yeah, the God Bless Beast as well has got it. But yeah, loads of stuff. So it's a good day to be a Ratman player. Just straight buffs, really. Yeah.
Wow, rats are good. Rats are good, especially against Dave in particular, because I love bringing things with tough 3 and higher.
I know, yeah. In our most recent AOF event, I brought ogres and I played against Dan, who was playing rats, and it was a pretty bloody situation for the rats. But after this rework, absolutely not. Right, you just protect that one caster because it's going to insta kill every ogre unit that comes close to it. So yeah. Good vibes from the rats today.
Really good vibes from the rats. They're in a sweet
and it's the kind
spot.
of power level of caster we actually quite like as well, right? I think I'm hoping that at some point during the beta we'll see a nerfed caster across the board. I think it could literally be 50% more expensive and it would still be useful. But I'm hoping that we'll see that nerf at some point, because I think at the moment we are pretty big on just like, if you have a good casting list, you should spam it because it's cheaper than it's ever been and it's more effective. So.
Yeah. It's an interesting point to talk about, because I think that I wouldn't oppose a cost increase to casters if everyone's spell lists came up a bit. Obviously, rats, great. Ogres, great. Yeah. We didn't talk about Shiv Kingdoms because they've only got access to caster 2s. But for example, in the update that went out earlier this evening, Havoc Dwarves got access to caster 3, I think it was.
Yep, they did, yeah.
Did I see that? So, yeah, it's that sort of thing of push that and it would be fine. I mean, I've said it in the last video, I might just say it again, it would be a good time for caster to be 2d6 7+, just saying, you know.
I mean, you want my caster rework? My caster rework, for anyone listening who might work at OPR, is I think that buff spells should use the current casting system. So if it's level 3, you spend 3 points, and on a 4 up it goes off. I think damage spells should be rolling 1 dice per hit based on the amount of points you pumped into it. So if you cast it on a 2-up, you get to roll, like, so if it's 8 hits, you roll 8 hits on a 2-up. Because I think what that does is it removes some of the kind of like binary nature of casting spells, where you either destroy them and the game is over, or you really don't destroy them and the game is definitely not over and you've kind of fluffed it, right? And that does make casting more reliable for damage spells. But then I think that comes to the point nerf, and it just makes the experience more like, it's more like just attacking with weapons, which, yes, might not be necessarily the biggest selling point for it, but at least it brings it in line with the rest of the game. Because at the moment, it's like, you can lose games to 50-50s with casters. If your opponent just decides not to cast reliably, because they're just going for like, I'm just fucking around, I'm just going to throw some spells around, there isn't really much you can do in the game. Let's say you're playing against an ogre player who decides to go 2 sets of 8 hits on a 50-50, 2 sets of 8 hits on a 50-50, 2 sets of 8 hits on a 50-50, and gets them all, right? Because you really cannot keep up with 48 hits in 3 activations. It's just too much. So bringing that down to like, okay, well, each one then becomes 8 hits because you've failed half of them. it makes it feel a little bit more fair. And it would also be in line with the new rules where you're like, you have get surge, right? You're now rolling 1 dice for each, so you don't even need the rider.
You whopper. I was going to say that. Yes, I completely agree. That would be one of the ways to make these on 6 effects, on 1 effects feel more natural. On top of that, you've mentioned like the experience overall. It would, I think, have the benefit of reducing feels bad along with everything else you've talked about there. But it's that aspect of how often do you just want to punt your damage spells out, or your damage spell is so imperative to winning the game, and 1d6. And it's a far more psychological point that we dwell on those single dice rolls. Whereas if you've thrown 8 dice and you see 3 or 5, you're very close to the point there, but you've still had some success. And that's a very different aspect.
And also, just one last note. I'm probably not going to put this in the balance feedback, but if anyone's making a Ratman post, include this. The hazardous thing, I believe, procs on 1s. So actually, roll as many dice to see if on 6 effects, which is the rider at the end of that spell, isn't correct. It should say on rolls of 1. Because currently you can't proc hazardous off that according to the rules like that. So that does need changing, but it's just a very slight correction.
I'm not afraid of
putting it in your mouth.
I'm not afraid of balance feedback posts. I'll put that one in there later. But those are very relevant feedback. Well observed, Harvey. Good boy.
Thank you very much.
Have a Harry back.
I'm nothing if not observant.
I just think of the robots. Oh, that's new.
Let's do the shortest ever complaint section in our videos.
Sure.
Here it comes.
You don't scratch my back enough, and you don't cuddle me. Anyway, on to the Giants.
This is a damn lie, by the way. It's a damn lie. Okay, stop lying to the people at home. All right, we cuddle all the time. We just live really far apart.
We do just live very far apart.
Yeah.
The Giant Tribes. We've talked about it with Titan Lords and Grimdark Future. Everyone else has received something that, in theory, boosts them. The Giants' delayed action may well be very nice for them, but there is, I can't remember the phrase you used, but there is an inherent issue to the Giants and the Titan Lords.
Paradigm.
Exactly, on the way that their army books are built. They are not accessible for people wanting to play at 2K Grimdark Future and 1,500 points of fantasy.
No.
And that is going against the mantra of OPR, which is everyone can come and play with their toys. Because if you are coming from a system where you've got these big fat fatties and you want to go to a 1,500 point Age of Fantasy event, well, yes, you can, but you're probably going to have a worse time than someone playing another army.
Yeah, I think, the key thing here is like, should a really tall army exist? Yes. All right, we can do it with a list if we want to, but I think it should exist. The problem that these lists have compared to other armies doing really tall lists is they don't have any chaff to fill out their activations. Now, obviously, the whole point in delayed action is to try and account for that. But the other thing chaff is doing in really tall lists is making it so you don't have to play your units wide, right? You can go Death Star in the middle with your 5 giants and then have, or like, whatever it is, with your chaff on the flanks, and they can play the objectives there, so you don't have to pull your resources away, which makes them more effective at what the Giants are trying to do. Now, we would have continued ranting at this point, but as we mentioned, Tano just dropped a patch at the start of this video, and in it, at the start, he mentioned how he's looking at revisiting Giant Tribes and Titan Lords and changing their units to make them more accessible. Now, if we're gambling men, we're saying that means tough 9, hopefully, on the Giants. I think that would
tough 9.
Yeah, I think that would make them
box
accessible.
Of this. It's so We'll see what that.
I think bringing down the
from.
toughness on all the Giants would be good. Just because it's like, well, if you're playing a giant army, tough 9 is still a giant, right? It's not a giant, right? But you'd much rather have 7 activations and tough 9 giants than 5 activations with tough 12. And I think the really important thing here as well is them being tough 9 for a tall army makes the game feel a little bit more fun for your opponent as well. because it's tough 12 is quite a barrier. It's quite a wall. It's really hard to balance that, right? If you can never kill, like if you don't quite kill a tough 12, you can lose the game off that. Whereas tough 9 is a bit more accessible. You feel like it's less of a threat, and maybe you want to buddy up the giants, and maybe they're playing together more as a cohesive army instead of going like giant on the left, giant on the right, giant on the middle, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and I think also just in general, the game is better the less differences there are in army play styles in terms of ability to balance it.
Yeah.
If most armies can reach 7 activations, then you can assume that when you're balancing the game and looking at data and feedback, that people are playing that way because that's the way most armies end up playing. It's why GDF can be a bit of a mess sometimes, because at one end of the spectrum, you've got like the Def 2 -2 AP, and at the other end of the spectrum, you've got like 6-ups. And it's like, well, how do you ever figure out that gap there? In all in like one big balancing pass, it's really difficult.
Exactly.
Which is that was my selling point for AOF as well. Anyone who's never played AOF before, it's just got a lot more interesting, lots of new abilities and stuff to use.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And also, like, I don't think we've ever had a game of AOF where we've gone like, I can't deal with that list, right? Like, I think AOF just feels good. Things die.
Feels great.
It feels really great. Yeah, honestly, it's really good.
I'm really, it's, how do I articulate this? For something like Grimdark Future, where it can be so spiky, like I said at the start, I can feel a bit of trepidation with this exploration to the new world, because spiky things can get spikier. But that aspect of a reduced access to AP, lower costed units, and a more go-wide friendly environment makes Age of Fantasy feel like there is less that can be broken. I think you said that even when we started recording. And because we're in this really steady state world at the moment, we can push. Like, we can see things where these armies might get a bit spicier, a bit more interesting. And that push, I don't feel will come at the cost of going, oh, now this game system's quite unhinged. Of course, I'm going to take this one particular army because they have access to 100 toys. Like, we're not going to see that emerging. And I think this is a good point. We haven't rounded this out in a structured way. We were talking about doing winners and losers. And really, giant tribes are the only like big losers. So we don't have too much more to say there. We have got armies to watch, which I think we'll come on to. But what I'd like to do is just take this moment and shape this into a wish list. And this is where we're going to touch, I think, on the armies that you might have categorized as losers, but really they're not full losers yet. But it's, what would we like to see to make things a bit better? So I think this is a good opportunity to do that. And I think let's start with the wish lists that you have for the Dark Elves.
It is no secret to anyone that I'm not a fan of harassing. Well, here it is in Age of Fantasy. So yeah, what does harassing do for an Age of Fantasy list? It's like, it's reverse fast almost, right? So they're paying the cost of fast, but not getting any of the benefits of it, which is a real damn shame. Now, charge ranges and stuff do matter a little bit more in Age of Fantasy, right? So you can see bouncing back being relevant, perhaps. I don't think it is still, right? Like, it's still kind of crap. But the other thing is, like, so if you look at the Dark Elf list, what kind of shooting do they have? They have 18-inch crossbows and they have 9-inch crossbows. Now, 9-inch crossbows, well, I guess they also have like Medusa gazes and stuff, right? But realistically, they've got 18-inch crossbows and 9 ones. So the 18-inch ones are, there we go, on the Dark Shooters. These do benefit from it, kind of, right? But they're already 18 inches. So they're probably outside of charge range anyway, right? And realistically, you can't hide this kind of unit, if you're going to stack it up twice or whatever, behind a building as easily with a 3-inch move. So it kind of incentivizes small units of 5, and everyone knows harassing and mechanics like that are good for shooting because it lets you just hide behind buildings the whole time, which I don't think is very good engaging gameplay either, by the way. But for the 9-inch crossbows, what does it let you do? Well, it lets you bully slow units, but otherwise it doesn't get you out of melee range. It's too short, right? And realistically, if you're harassing around the corner of a building after shooting a 9-inch shot to stay out of line of sight, they can probably get the angle on you because you're so much closer. Like, you're more likely to be further into their part of the board where they've got line of sight around the object you're on. So
yeah,
it just
angles
like
don't work in a linear manner in albeit a 2-dimensional game that would be a war game. But also in 3, but it's that point of it's not instantly 3 inches is out of the way because of the way that angles work. You don't have to move the full amount out to recover that line of sight block that you've lost. You actually only have to move a fraction of it. So the 3 inches doesn't fully achieve the goal there.
And then apart from that, like, it's kind of a similar wish list to Dark Elf Raiders, right? Like, I think harassing is just like not very good, and I'd rather see something else. I especially think that that Dark Elves Fantasy and Dark Elf Raiders have very different play styles, and I don't think they should be lumped with the same rule just because they're both Dark Elves. And I believe the same for High Elves as well. I see High Elves in
so many units, actually, so many armies across both factions. Both systems.
I don't think we should be loosely grouping things based on the vibe they're giving, especially not like I mean, Dark Elves are like military with monsters and stuff, and women that are mostly naked, right? Dark Elf Raiders don't have monsters, and they're not really military-like, right? They're using transports and stuff, so they're already a big difference in playstyles there. Like Eternal Wardens and what they call Custodians, like they may look the same, they may be big boys with shields, but the way they play is also very different. So not a massive fan of that either. I'd just like to see like a second pass on some of these things, just to go like, I mean, this is what the feedback channels are for as well, guys, right? Like if you've been playing Dark Elves for a long time and you've always gone like, I wish Dark Elves could, this is your opportunity to get that into the feedback, because the person who's going to be giving the best feedback about an army is the person who plays it, right?
Yeah.
Tano does not have the time to playtest every single army in the game. It's just simply impossible, right? So he's really relying on you to come along and go like, this is how we play. And if you want to see what that looks like, go check out the Dark Elf Raiders feedback forum section, right? It's full of Dark Elf Raiders players all going, we play this way. We play with transports. We play aggressive. We want to die really quickly and we want to blow their enemy up, right? And they're all united in one front. So go and do that. Go throw in your 2 cents about the things, and hopefully you'll agree with your fellow ex-players, and then you go from there. But I think it'd be nice to see some things reworked, and I think if it came from a player and it came from someone's suggestion, that would be even sweeter. Yeah,
absolutely agree with all of the things you've mentioned there, including on my wish list, which is binning Alabaster Shielding from the Eternal Wardens. I did raise this in the balanced feedback of saying that Age of Fantasy is a lower AP system, and the response was that AP is going to increase, which is fine. But so far, really, I'm seeing 2 things that just undermine that point. One is that AP is increasing in spells. 2, AP is increasing in droves, where a defense 4-up army with AP -1 doesn't give a shit, because if it's AP 3 anyway, you're still on 6s.
Yep.
And the next point is that AP is appearing in spells. And if AP is appearing in spells, this rule does jack shit against it. So, really, Eternal Warden's getting that AP reduction one is the worst of the defensive abilities. My thoughts were you could put it on the dwarves, but it would still suck for the dwarves. It would just suck less, because they can get things like
it's worse than
hammer
one
elites.
Defense, right?
It is just worse than one defense, and it's way worse than -1 to hit. So that would be one. Whilst I'm on a soapbox, I don't think Wild Hunt is very good for the Wood Elves. They are very fragile. They want to be controlling combat, not just lunging towards it. Remembering as well that Age of Fantasy is a more combat-focused system. It is closer ranged. Sorry, yes, melee-focused. Fair point. It is more melee-focused, and so geesing yourself towards your opponents and the ability to do that more often than not is not great. You're going to be helping them. And if you're not using it, you put this up against an army like Saurians, who are melee-focused. If you then don't use your once-per-game army-wide rule, they have their army-wide rule every single time they attack active. So the Wood Elves just really haven't come out well with that one. I'd like to see that one reworked.
Positives.
I mean, those are just wishes, right? Like, otherwise, we have a lot of positives.
Yeah, I've got a couple of honorable mentions I'd like to bring up.
Let's go for it.
So biggest winners we think aren't necessarily the ones that have gained the most, but the ones that have the most, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. So they are the ones that are like, we think are on top. They think these are great factions. the honorable mentions section is more about like what's something that's got some new tricks that is worth keeping an eye on because it's fun.
Yeah.
And I would like to start with goblins. So goblins now have poisonous in all their attacks thanks to Mischievous. Now, this is something that they could get before from one of their clan stuff. There was quite a lot of poison kicking around the list, right? But this is now built in. Now, this doesn't mean a massive amount for most of the goblin units, but it does mean a lot for the troll units. So the trolls have got a really nice glow up. So the trolls before were a pretty strong unit, right? You used to be able to take like Death 1 Fearless, right? Stonebreed, and that would be really good. But one of the major advantages of the Cave Tribe, or what was it used? Yeah, it was been called Cave Tribe. I think it might have been. So that now gives, it's one at the top there, it gives Shred and Melee. It's built into the unit. So that is Old Reap, and it gives Furious. Now, it used to give Furious and Poison. Now, the reason why this is so nice is because the Poison was a really important part of that, because they have AP3 weapons. So you can get Poison as AP3, which means that if they hit something, it's very likely going to take a wound, on top of getting stuff like Death 1 Fearless, Scout Strider, and they now get Instinctive as well, which I think Instinctive, like, yes, it can backfire every so often, but I think it's just worth having. It really is. It's very, very powerful. Just a +1 to hit. And yeah, you don't get to choose your targets anymore, but who cares, right? You're going to take a couple of trolls and they're going to, if they scout, they could be halfway at the board at the start of the game and they can just start causing trouble, right? Or you take them as defensive fearless and you just play a little bit of a measuring game, right? Where you put them in places where your opponent maybe can't force them to charge things. Or if they do force them to charge things, it doesn't matter. The big downside of Instinctive is obviously your opponent can bait you off points and stuff later on in the game. But you're playing a goblin army, so you probably have plenty of units still kicking around. Like goblins, I believe, still get access to Fearless and all their stuff. So if you just check out the Warriors, I think that's true. Yeah, Wolf Clan still gives them Fearless. So they're still a very, very strong army morale-wise, a 4-up into a 4-up for their stuff. So you don't need to worry too much. You can go like, okay, Trolls, you go up the board and you're just going to start causing chaos. And the rest of my army is going to continue to do what the Goblins do, which is take the objectives and run around, and their buffs are still really good. They've still got a really cheap Goblin leader. They can get full moves and shooting now on their range units, which is quite interesting. They've got a +1 AP with Precision Fighter, I believe. Is that +1 AP or +1 to hit?
+1 to hit.
+1 to hit. So you can load those into Trolls to make them 2-ups if you want. Yeah, there's lots of really, really nice stuff in here. So I think Goblins, I've always had a soft spot for Goblins anyway. I love Troll builds. I think they're just so much fun. But yeah, continue to just keep an eye on these guys, because I think they've always been in an interesting position where it feels like there's a build out there that's going to do really well, right? Like Nasty Assassins are good. Shroom Sniffers have taken a change, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a sad thing to see.
Yeah, so Shred is obviously still really good, but yeah, it's not the +1 to hit that it used to be or whatever. But either way, the point is Goblins look really strong. They're one of these factions that have just taken like a little buff to what they do, and they're pretty happy about it.
Nasty Assassins are sweet. Obviously, the -20 point surprise attack is wrong, but that'll get fixed. They're really fun. Yeah, that's,
I think it's 70 points or something on live, but yeah,
can't remember.
So yeah, that's my choice for one to watch.
Are we only allowed one each? Because you and I could go for a while.
No, we're allowed more, but start with your most excited one.
All right, let's go for the Volky Dwarves. Why am I going for the Volky Dwarves? I'm going to go to the one that's the biggest meme thing first, which is they have a really good Flamer Beast.
It's a really good Flamer Beast.
The Volcanic Dwarves special rule is this +6 inch range when shooting and +3 inch range when charging. Now, I actually saw this and I went, oh crap, they're already slow. Really, they're charging 11 inches. And then Logic Brain started to kick in over time, which is that army-wide slow is a really nice points discount. And then you get the more, arguably the more important thing is covering your charges. And that is brought nearly back up to base. And you can get musicians on a number of your important units. You can't get them on Berserker Guards, sadly, but Volcanic Berserkers is really what you care about. Then I was thinking, well, it's frustrating if you want to shoot. But again, you've got the 6 inch range, and Auric Marksmen are excellent. You can give them these sweet 12 inch A2 chance to get AP4 guns, which are then 18 inches, which you can then buff if you want to 24 inches. So that's kind of fun. And you can get an A4 in there if you want to pay the extra points. But then it was only afterwards when I was thinking, man, I hope my Volcanic Lizard's still good. But I realised it is, because you get Blast 3 reliable on A2 12 inch range for 20 points. Actually, it's 18-inch range because of Drake's Horn.
Oh, yeah.
So that's fun. Mark for retreating strike is garbage, so don't take this. It is absolutely shite. But that's great. And then your fire elementals as well do get Drake's Horn, and they're not slow. And they get new ethereal. They're looking really, really good.
They are looking really, really good. I think, Vox War's another one of those ones that I've always thought have a list out there. They have a really strong, I think the Magma Champion on the Magma Drake has always been a scary thing.
It's less
and now it
good
gets extra
now.
charge range.
Yeah, you get extra charge range. You don't have the -1 to hit aura, which is a shame.
No, but it does charge 18 inches.
But it does charge 18 inches.
Yeah, and it still has Piercing Fighter, which gives AP. So it's less tanky than it was, but it's still like a boatload of AP, Furious, charging 18 inches. You do Scout with it if you wanted to, you can really shove things in the face.
Also, remember that this army has army-wide Fearless, except for on the fire elementals, which is hella good, and army-wide Furious. It's managed
Berserkers
to
are just
keep quite a
really,
lot.
really good.
These are
if you're running a Volk Dwarf list, you should just max out on Berserkers. Those guys are mean, right? Most things in AOF are not that tanky, so you don't need the AP. And when you do the AP, they tend to be tough 3 as well. Melee Slayer gives you that. They charge really far now. It's great.
Yeah. So Volcanic Dwarves are looking fun. I've had one. You've had one. Your turn again.
Okay. I'm gonna cheat with my turn because I'm also gonna say that goblins, they're spinny boys. What are they called? The fanatics now have traversal, which lets them run through melee friendly enemy units, which is great.
This is something I want to see on Giants and Titan Lords.
You can run straight through your friendly guys and into the front lines and then pull them back. It's sweet.
Yeah. That doesn't count.
Just let you know. Yeah, that doesn't count. Okay, so my next one to watch is the Havoc Dwarves. So they have just received some changes about AP and stuff. But what I will say is Havoc Dwarves, so their Havoc Blessing is now shooting within 12 inches.
Not half.
Before it was within half range. So the problem with the half range thing before is they have 9-inch shotguns, and that means you got to get really close. But now it's within 12, which is no problem for a 9-inch shotgun. So if you go on the shooters, these guys here, not only that, but they got some new guns as well. So you can go for AP2 if you want on the shotguns, which is obviously very, very scary. Or you can go with this new Hex stuff, which has Purge, and get an AP1 Purge instead. And that's only 80 points, which really is not that much for that amount of shots at a close range. Now, yes, they're really slow, but hello, shotguns, Yeah. We love a shotgun. You could run the Hex rifles if you wanted to, though I probably wouldn't recommend it because I think you still got to go in 12. But yeah, you can go for Reckless Piercing as well if you want an extra AP in that mix. These are very terrifying. They are one-way shooting at 9 inches. Because 9 inches plus a 4-inch move is 13, that means they outrange melee units. So that's really potent because you can basically treat them like a melee unit. You double move them first turn, and then next turn you set up those 13-inch charges. You can take Musician to get that extra 1 inch as well over other people if you still want to do that kind of stuff. They just look really juicy, to be honest.
Look at these flamers.
I don't think the spell list is very good. They have just been given access to more spell list stuff.
Sorry, the
spell list is really good. I take it back. Yeah. So the spell list looks good as well. This 4 hits blast 3 AP1 is a crazy spell to see in fantasy. Crazy,
really
spell,
insane. Who else?
Yeah,
we see
really,
Dark
really
Elves.
good.
Dark Elves have it as well.
Yeah. So this is brilliant, right? This is going to this spell list is just great. Is all we can say about it, right? So we've got another deadly one, which is always nice to see in spell list. We've got a blast one in the same spell list. That's great. The 4 hits purge is kind of whatever. But yeah, the swift buff as well is basically an extra 4-inch charge. So a little bit of movement tech, which is quite nice when you can't get it otherwise. So yeah, these guys look really, really good. Yeah, and that's it. They had one bug, which I think has now been fixed, which is it's not really a bug, but heroes used to get access to an ambush aura, and obviously the whole army's slow. So that's gone. I think it's now marked for precision shooting, which, if you look at it, is obviously really good with the shotguns as well. So yeah, you have this really, really juicy close range shooting list, and to be honest, that just gets me so excited. I mean, if you've watched the channel, you know I love shotguns. I get so much harder for a 9-inch shotgun than a 12-inch shotgun, right? Because it's so much more satisfying getting it in range. And also, the Havoc artillery are 4-ups, and they now have Relentless as well. So they're kind of like a reliable artillery. So yeah, really, really great. And they have Blast 3 instead of Blast
6. Yeah.
6. So you're rolling twice as many hits, and then if you get a 6, it doubles to a Blast 6. So you can play like a full shooting, but I still do melee things kind of army with Havoc Dwarves, and that's my power fantasy. So love that.
Look forward to Havoc Dwarves being seen in a fantasy tournament.
And Iron Champions are so cheap because they're slow and they're quality 3, which is a morale thing as well. So the army can get morale 2 up really, really easy with a Iron Champion embedded in things with banners. So it's exactly the dwarf thing you want to see, right? Like it's really hard to move, it's hard hitting, it does guns. Hell yeah, dude.
On a really nice design point, I think they're a very cute dichotomy to non-Havoc Dwarves as well, which, you know, if you subscribe to the whole good dwarves versus bad dwarves thing, I like that. That's quite cute to see. Brill. Well, I think I'm going to take one more to finish us off on the ones to watch that we're quite excited about. And it's really hard to do. I actually just wanted to say, but I'll just mention this and I'll just mention that. But no, we have to finish the video somewhere. The last one I'm going to...
Dead.
I'm so tempted. It's like between, what do I take the video time for? Mummified Undead, Demons, or Vamp Undead?
Mummified Undead have just been nerfed down to 6 up rounds, right?
They have, haven't they?
In 6-inch range, right? So
okay, they're out.
They were really looking juicy before.
Humans were looking juicy before. Where are the humans gone? Have they also had the same nerf? Why can't I find the word human? They have had the same nerf, yeah. They've had the same nerf. I think that's fine. Ooh, let's go for Vamps then. Go on, let's take Vamps. Yeah. And it is still there. I thought it had gone, but it hasn't. No. Why are we excited about Vamps? Is it because they've got army-wide 6 up? No. Is it because they're a cool thematic army with werewolves? Kind of, but no. It's because they have got way more access to the old rule called Seduce. Let's talk about why in this one it's now called Mind Control. That rule is once per activation, pick one enemy unit within 18 inches, must take a morale check, and if it fails, you may move it by 6 inches in any direction. What a hilariously tricksy rule. Can be shit if your opponent's army-wide fearless, and so you've got a much lower chance of actually getting it through. But what is hilarious that I didn't realise, you have lots of access to Caster 3. You've got this level 3 spell. Seductive Invocation. Pick up to 4 enemy units and make them do a morale check or move. Why? How? We like that you can impact multiple units in a single activation with Caster. How about impacting 4? And when in a game system where your opponent wants to get their chaff on an objective, in round 4, you can just be like, right, on a 4+, you're off the objective. Fuck off. Yeah. Now, obviously, it's worth noting, this does fall into the category of double conditional spells. You have to cast a spell and they have fail and morale check, right? So it doesn't make it like, oh my God, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The effects like Mind Control are so good because most of the time you want to put chaff on points, and 18 inches is really far, right? So you can absolutely just ignore the swarm they're trying to get on the point and just constantly shove it off with Mind Control throughout the game. And as it stands, vampires are pretty tanky. You can embed them in some nice units. This comes in on the Vampire Knights as well, right? They can do it. Anything like Vampire can do it. I mean, it was... Before, we were like, you always take a one-off maiden coach. Maiden chariot or whatever it was. Now it's like, well, maybe I don't even need to take one of those. I can just take any of the vampire units and get access to it instead. And also, like, as previously mentioned, Vampiric Undead are just a good army. They're really good, right? I think have they just got Fearless on their zombies as well? Ooh, I did see that, didn't I? The zombies lost their ambush thing. It's their top right. The 6 zombies lost the ambush thing, but they now have Fearless, the Rising which Dead. Is really nice as well. Because I actually can the Necromancer still summon them? If they can, the Drain Leader. It's up there on the bottom left. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. So they can't. Interestingly enough, no. But could you do it on the Corpse Wagon? Yes, okay, you can do it on the Corpse Wagon. That's what I was looking for when I was scrolling down. It was this, and I think. This thing is kind of sweet. Oh, but you'd have to replace the casting buff. I mean, whatever. Who cares? This is an objective machine, right? You
Philip, it's got zombies in it. It itself is relatively hard to move. It's got 3-up. It's got regen. You just kind of cruise on the map doing objective stuff. But yeah, zombies having Fearless again is another great buff. Like, sure, they lost their ambush thing, but to be honest, I think their ambush thing was kind of bait. And this is much more preferred, right? Fearless is just great to see on the 5-ups. So yeah, Vampiric Undead looking sweet.
Oh, there's so many ways of building them that I'd like to try. Like
that's the thing about them as well, right? Vampiric Undead are probably the closest to alien hives you get in AOF, right? Their list just has like just everything in it, right? There's just, you can go big beasties, you can go scout, you can go cool vampire cavalry, you can go swarms, you can horde, like you can do all sorts of stuff with it. Yeah, I think it's really, really sweet.
They are really sweet. Brill. So we'll round that out there, folks. As we say, this is beta. Everything's subject to change, but most importantly, it is subject to your feedback. Is there anything that you really want to see? We're in such a good spot to now feed it back to the development team at OPR and be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes. Don't think just rework harassing.
I was more going to say, don't think pure toxicity that everything's changing. Think, oh my god, what an opportunity.
Don't let us post our own feedback, apart from that thing I was saying about the 4-up thing, hazardous rat thing. But yeah,
Harvey's point is really good, which is if you've been playing one of these armies every week in your local game store and something's changed that impacts something that in your view or in your experience, if you're out there playtesting, if it impacts the game negatively, feed that back. Provide the evidence. Make sure you put it in a good, concise, bullet-pointed way so it's easy for them to process, and we can really see some more fun things coming. For now, though, Age of Fantasy is looking really exciting. It's looking to be a really dynamic and enjoyable game system. I'm excited to get into it. We hope you are at home too, but for now, I've been Dave. He's been Harvey. This is Don't Think, Just Charge, and we'll see you in the next one. Tanner went on his brilliant live streams. No, take that out. Cocksucking. Fuck that. Shit, no.
It's brilliant live streams. Hi, Tanner. I really love your live streams.